Welcome to NarrativeNook audio tales where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
Mr. Farwell. At Farwell Group, the staff in charge of publishing comments on the internet noticed a shift in the trend of the public's opinion, so he hurriedly went to seek further instruction from Lucian. Lucian glanced at the screen and furrowed his brows. He saw the internet was flooded with speculations about his relationship with Roxanne and criticisms toward Aubrey. We didn't do this. We merely released some news about the Pearson family. This statement mentioning the original spouse came out of nowhere. Should we attempt to sway the public opinion again? The employee hurriedly explained. Lucian rejected the suggestion. That's not needed. Just let it be. Find out where the statement about the original spouse stemmed from. The employee replied guiltily. I investigated the source, but the information was leaked from a virtual IP address that does not correspond to a physical network interface. Hearing that, Lucian narrowed his eyes and was immediately reminded of the previous incident involving Pearson Group's computer malfunction. Farwell Group's technicians were considered one of the best in their expertise. Even so, they failed to find out the mastermind's identity. Could it be the same person this time? After all, that person scolded Aubrey as an evil woman last time and is now sparking discussions on the internet about Aubrey being a homewrecker. Homewrecker. At the thought of that term, Archie and Benny's faces flashed across Lucian's mind. Nevertheless, he quickly dismissed the idea. Those two boys are still so young. How could they be capable of accomplishing something like this? If the same person didn't orchestrate these incidents, and my technicians failed to track the masterminds down on both occasions, I think it's time for Farwell Group to hire new people. He recollected his thoughts and instructed solemnly, I got it. Ignore this matter for now. Update me again if there are any more changes in the trend. The employee let out an inward sigh of relief before promptly agreeing. Soon, opinions of varying stances appeared online. A netizen wrote, "Let's not make random guesses without evidence to support our claim. The two families have yet to announce anything, right?" Another commented, "That's right. Don't forget that Mr. Farwell had personally accompanied Ms. Pearson to the hospital and stayed by her side throughout the night before. There's no way he would have done something like that if not out of true love." After seeing that, Benny was speechless and at a loss for what to do. Daddy hasn't made any official announcement, so I don't suppose I can do that on his behalf, right? Hence, he could only tap on his keyboard furiously to delete all the comments rooting for Aubrey. Still, the netizens posted more, no matter how many comments he deleted. Some people were even convinced by the remarks and switched sides to support Aubrey. Benny sulked as he couldn't remove all the distasteful comments in time. Yet, all of a sudden, the phrase marriage engagement between the Farwell and Pearson family just suddenly entered the trending list. The word hot was added in red capital letters at the back of the title. After clicking into the title, more astonishing descriptions were displayed before Benny's eyes. Farwell Group declared the marriage engagement with the Pearson family had been cancelled from today onward. The reason behind the Pearson family's overnight downfall is shocking. Benny was taken aback. Following the statement released by Farwell Group, those posts discussing Lucian harboring true love toward Aubrey gradually quieted down. A netizen even commented, "Rumor has it Mr. Farwell brought his original spouse to the hospital and took care of her all night, not Aubrey." The netizen also deliberately attached the picture from the newspaper the other day and a photo of Aubrey's profile for comparison. Upon scrutiny, although the person's identity couldn't be determined through the blurry profile, she was undoubtedly not Aubrey. One netizen wrote, "Although this is all we can see, I must say the original spouse's facial features look prettier." Another commented, "Oh my. I've been complimenting the original spouse all along. She's so gorgeous and is a match made in heaven with Mr. Farwell." Subsequently, the public's view on the internet did a 180. All of a sudden, Roxanne and Aubrey became two starkly contrasting figures in the netizens' opinion. Meanwhile, at the Pearson residence, Aubrey locked herself inside her room without consuming any food or water upon returning from the Farwell residence. A single thought filled her mind for the entire day.
I'm doomed.
No one can save me this time. My life is completely ruined. I can't believe that batch, Roxanne, told Lucian to let the police handle this matter. I'd rather die than spend the rest of my life in prison. The more she dwelled on that, the more furious and terrified she became. As a result, Aubrey didn't pay any attention to the news on the internet. Samuel currently loved and hated his daughter at the same time. Aubrey was his only daughter, so how could he have the heart to send her to jail? If she hadn't done those foolish things, the Pearson family wouldn't have met its downfall. Early in the morning, the person in charge of each of Pearson Group's branch companies flooded his phone with calls. All of them informed him about their company's stocks crashing out of control, and all their business partners requested to dissolve their collaborations. Regardless of how much Samuel cared for Aubrey as her father, the fatherly affection he harbored toward her gradually dissipated as he answered each call. While he was boiling with rage, Gina, wearing a tear-stained face, rushed into the study. Samuel, bad news. Hurry up and look at this. How can these people on the internet criticize our family and Aubrey in this manner? Gina wept almost immediately after reading the news on her phone that morning. The Pearson family had never endured such humiliation since they established their presence in Horrington many years ago. Grimacing, Samuel took her phone and glanced at the screen. He tightened his grip around the device when he read how the netizens berated the Pearson family to the extent of almost crushing the phone with his hand. Unfilial daughter. That unfilial daughter. Does she realize how much trouble she has brought to the Pearson family? What should we do now, Samuel? Gina gazed imploringly at her husband in a daze. Samuel was still mad, and in a fit of rage, he shoved her, causing the latter to fall to the ground. All you know how to do is cry. You're useless during desperate times. With that, he stormed toward Aubrey's room and banged on her door. In a state of shock, Aubrey showed no inclination to open the door. The next second, the sound of someone kicking the door reverberated suddenly. Samuel booted the door as he scolded in a rage, brat. Come out here and see the mess you made. What did I tell you yesterday? I asked you to go to the Farwell residence and apologize nicely. What did you do instead, you incompetent trash? You could have secured the position of Mrs. Farwell instead of letting Roxanne seize the opportunity if you didn't act on your own accord. If she hadn't treated Essie insincerely, the kid wouldn't have refused to accept her even after so long, and Lucian wouldn't have delayed fulfilling his promise to marry Aubrey for 6 years. The more Samuel thought about it, the angrier he got. Overwhelmed by wrath, he successfully kicked down the door. Aubrey's heart sank when she saw her father standing at the doorway with bloodshot eyes. He didn't behave like this when I came home yesterday. Something must have happened again. What's the matter, Dad? What happened? She gazed at her father in panic, wanting to inquire if the police were there to look for her. Before she could do so, Samuel interrupted her. How dare you ask that question? Look at what you've done. He flung the phone at her as he spoke. Aubrey dodged on instinct, preventing the phone from hitting the corner of her eye. She picked up the device and glanced at the screen. The discussions on the internet continued refreshing, and the comments about the Pearson family latching onto the Farwell family had sunk to the bottom of the page. Displayed before Aubrey's eyes were everyone's compliments toward Roxanne and their disdain toward Aubrey as the homewrecker. Cried out Aubrey as she violently threw the phone in her hand away. I'll ensure that batch, Roxanne, regrets the day she was born. She must be the one responsible. She has to be. With that, Aubrey was about to rush out when Samuel stopped her in her tracks. Idiot. Have you forgotten about what happened at the Farwell residence yesterday? Do you actually think it's a good idea to confront Roxanne now? Rebuked Samuel. Aubrey seemed even madder after listening to that. You're my father. Can you really sit by and do nothing while those people cursed at me online? Since our family has nothing left to lose, I'm going to drag that batch down to the abyss with me." At that point, Samuel could no longer hold his anger in, so he slapped his daughter so hard that she fell into her bed. "You're the reason our family is ruined, yet you show no remorse. In fact, you seem more than ready to repeat your mistakes. Now, you listen to me well. I don't care if you have to kneel before Lucian or grovel at his feet. You will convince the man to stop keeping our family in his crosshair because you're responsible for this mess. Otherwise, nobody can save you." If the Pearson family were to crumble and his daughter was to be subjected to legal procedures by then, Samuel would not be able to do anything even if he wanted to. Nevertheless, all Aubrey could hear after getting smacked was the buzzing sound in her ear. When she finally regained her hearing, the first thing she heard was her father telling her to kneel before Lucian and apologize. "E fine. I'll beg for Lucian's mercy. I'll go right away," responded Aubrey with nothing but hate in her eyes, and after giving her father a cold glance, she got up and rushed out of the room. With his eyebrows tightly knitted, Samuel could not help but feel worried when he thought of the look in Aubrey's eyes before she left. Still, there was not much he could do about Aubrey, given the situation of his family. Aubrey. Gina just so happened to see the swollen-faced Aubrey storm out of the room when she arrived at the scene. Hey, hold up. Calm down. Where are you going?" questioned Gina while trying to catch up with Aubrey. Aubrey, however, turned a deaf ear as she rushed out of the house before zooming off in her car. After witnessing that, Gina returned to the room in a panic to speak to Samuel. What is Aubrey planning to do? Is she going to do something stupid again? You have to stop her. You're the reason she's who she is today, so you should figure it out yourself," uttered Samuel, who was already having an unbearable headache, before striding into the study and slamming the door shut. Left alone in Aubrey's messy bedroom to stare at the door Samuel had kicked down and the smashed phone, Gina burst into tears. There was a grimness in Aubrey's eyes when she finally floored the brakes after driving for quite a distance. "He expects me to apologize to Lucian? In his dreams. This is all that batch's fault, so why do I have to be the one to apologize? I swear I'll make Roxanne pay." Nevertheless, the Pearson family had already run out of resources they could use, so after some thought, Aubrey took out her phone and tried to call Frida. When she failed to reach Frida after several attempts, Aubrey sneered and decided to send the woman a message instead. "Don't forget that we're in the same boat. So far, Lucian knows I added the bacteria, but he has no idea where it came from. How much better do you think your family will do than mine after he finds out about that?" In less than a minute after the text message was sent, Aubrey received a call from Frida. "Aubrey, I only noticed your missed calls now because I was in the shower. What's up?" Frida sounded very concerned. It was as if the engagement between the Farwell and the Pearson was never cancelled, and they were still on good terms. Aubrey knew that Frida only called because of the message she had sent, but since she still needed Frida's help, she decided to play along. With that thought in mind, Aubrey coldly bit her lower lip. Nothing much. Seeing how we haven't seen each other for a few days, I wanted to ask you out." Frida hesitated for a few seconds, but because of Aubrey's threat, she had no choice but to agree to the woman's request. She wanted to follow Jonathan's advice, but what happened to the Pearson was too shocking to ignore. Frida worried that her family would be in trouble if Aubrey really did sell her out. After confirming the place to meet, the two ended the phone call. Then, Frida got changed and was about to walk out the door when she bumped into Jonathan. Where are you going?" Jonathan gazed suspiciously at his sister. In response, Frida plastered on a smile. "Nowhere. I've stayed home for too long, so I wanted to go for a walk." Jonathan was still unconvinced, however. I don't care if you have to stay home for another few days. Just look at those comments online. You'd better stay away from Aubrey if you don't want our family to end up like hers." Standing still and staring coldly at Frida, Jonathan had no intention of getting out of his sister's way. On top of feeling guilty, Frida was afraid to meet Aubrey then, so she nodded meekly and returned to her room. Nonetheless, she eventually gave in to her anxiety and called Aubrey. My brother's not letting me leave the house. I bet he doesn't want you to meet me because he has no idea what you did. Voiced Aubrey through gritted teeth. Frida nodded guiltily. I can't let him know. Otherwise, he'll kill me before Lucian does. Does that mean you're not afraid that Lucian will find out? Sneered Aubrey. After being rendered speechless for a moment, Frida hurriedly reassured Aubrey of her loyalty to the woman. I believe you, Aubrey, and I'll do my best to help you in any way I can. However, don't worry. I won't tell Lucian even if the plan fails, but you have to be a part of it, she interrupted Aubrey unceremoniously as though she knew what Frida wanted to say. Frida finally breathed a sigh of relief after hearing that. What do you need me to do? On the other side, Aubrey was sitting alone in the corner of a cafe. Because of how widespread the online public opinion was, almost everyone in Horrington was discussing the matter. In fact, it was difficult to find anyone who did not recognize Aubrey. Even the waiter who served her coffee gave her a dirty look. Aubrey could not help but harden her face when reminded of her situation. How have things developed on the internet? After turning on her computer, Frida was unsure how to reply to Aubrey because the truth about Roxanne was close to becoming public knowledge. Almost everyone was praising Roxanne for her beauty and kindness and saying what a perfect match she was for Lucian. On the other hand, Aubrey, who used to be put on a pedestal, became a laughingstock overnight. Some even said that Aubrey made up the story that she was Lucian's first crush. What's going on? Aubrey's heart sank when she heard nothing but silence from the other end of the line. Frida could just imagine Aubrey's face after the latter read the comments even though they were only speaking over the phone. She said dryly, you should take a look for yourself, Aubrey. Aubrey turned on the speakerphone and opened her social media app grimly. Someone commented, Aubrey is shameless. How dare she claim to be Mr. Farwell's first crush when she's really just a homewrecker? If he truly had feelings for her, why would he have married his original spouse? Another seconded, that's right. Whatever feelings Mr. Farwell had for his first crush would have been gone by now after 6 long years. Moreover, Mr. Farwell acts as if he doesn't even know her. If you ask me, his original spouse is his first crush. Aubrey is just a nobody. The comments were scathing and merciless, leaving no room for doubt about the netizens' disdain toward Aubrey. Aubrey had to muster up all her energy to resist the urge to throw her phone across the room. Roxanne, that batch. But she cursed through gritted teeth. Frida tried to calm her down. Calm down, Aubrey. There's no point getting angry about this right now. She was worried that Aubrey might do something foolish and drag herself into it. Aubrey took a few deep breaths before she spoke again. Do you know any public relations company? I'm going to make that batch pay for what she said. Frida hesitated upon hearing this. How is this any different from what she did the last time? I'm still the one who's handing the knife over to her as she commits murder. I'll be a goner if either Jonathan or Lucian finds out. Just let it slide, Aubrey. Where are you going to get the money to recruit the help of a public relations company with the state your family is in right now? She tried to dissuade Aubrey. However, Aubrey saw through her right away. I'll contact them myself. Don't worry. I won't get you involved. As for the money, I can afford it. I'll do everything in my power to expose that batch's true colors to the world. Frida reluctantly gave her a number, having no reason to reject her at this point. Aubrey didn't say anything anymore after getting what she wanted. She hung up the call and contacted the public relations company. Hello, what kind of business collaboration are you looking for? Came the prompt response from the other end. Aubrey said through gritted teeth, I want you to spread the news about the original spouse of Farwell Group's CEO. The scandal involving the Farwell had caused a huge uproar online. It was only natural for a professional public relations firm to be aware of it. The person on the other end of the line immediately became cautious when he heard Aubrey's request. And you are? Aubrey replied coldly, Aubrey Pearson. Hearing that, the other party ended the call immediately. Aubrey dialed the number again through clenched teeth, her face darkening. I'll pay you 30 million to post the news. It's not fake, I promise. The other party's resolve started to waver when they heard the offer of such a large sum. However, they still didn't dare to take the risk. 50 million. I'll pay you 10 million more when everything is over, so 60 million in total. Aubrey added. Aubrey had prepared the 50 million Corey requested back then, but little did she know she would be using the money for this instead of what she had intended. In the end, the other party gave in to the temptation of money and agreed to her terms after much hesitation. Okay. What do you want us to post? Aubrey's gaze turned icy as she delivered the message she had prepared beforehand. Archie and Benny chuckled in delight as the public view tilted in favor of their mother. Estella woke up and rubbed her eyes groggily. Archie, Benny, what are you guys doing? Archie and Benny closed their laptop immediately when they heard Estella's voice. They shook their heads in unison. It's nothing. We're just browsing the stock market. They decided to handle the chaos that was going down online themselves. Estella had no need to get involved. Estella felt that something was off as she stared at the boys. However, nothing came to mind, as she was still groggy from her sleep. She took a moment to gather her thoughts before getting out of bed to wash up. Archie and Benny wanted to continue monitoring the online discussion, but Roxanne called them down for breakfast. After Estella washed up, they put their laptop away and went down. Roxanne noticed that her two boys were in high spirits during breakfast and couldn't help but ask, what's the occasion? Archie and Benny exchanged looks and replied, nothing special. We're just glad to have our sister back. Estella nodded enthusiastically in agreement. I'm very happy too. Roxanne didn't dwell further on the matter upon hearing that. Her heart warmed as she stared at the kids' smiling faces. She scooped some food onto their plates. I'll take you out for some fun after breakfast, okay? It's been a while since I took them out after the last incident. Besides, I've found my little darling this time around. Roxanne would always be reminded of the child she had lost whenever she took Archie and Benny out to play. However, her dream had finally come true, as she had found her missing daughter. The kids were overjoyed when they heard Roxanne was going to take them out to have some fun. Okay? They shouted in unison. Roxanne couldn't help but smile. Their happiness was contagious. At the same time, Aubrey managed to bribe her way through the public relations firm and was posting anything and everything about Roxanne on the World Wide Web, causing the public's view of Roxanne to shift drastically once again. Someone wrote, "His original spouse? You mean Roxanne Jarvis? Haven't you read the news?" Her research institute was provided with the opportunity to join the Damarise project because of her relationship with Jack Damaris. Women like her can't be trusted. Another commented, "You can still find pictures of Roxanne and Jack having dinner online. They have yet to clarify matters up till now. She's just another one of those batches in the medical industry, if you ask me." Various posts defaming Roxanne started to pop up. At the same time, others still believed in Roxanne and thought the scandal between her and Jack was just mere speculation. Lucian's decision to call off his engagement told them everything they needed to know. However, soon after, another piece of scandal erupted on the internet again. The netizens started discussing again. Someone wrote, "Rumors have it that Roxanne already has 2 kids aged around 4 to 5. It has only been 6 years since she left the Farwell. Who fathered her children? It couldn't be Mr. Farwell, could it?" Another replied, "That would be an understatement. Roxanne left the Farwell on her own accord back then. Who knows? Maybe she left because she had gotten herself pregnant and was worried that she wouldn't be able to explain herself. She's probably back to get her hands on the Farwell wealth now that her children have grown up. A third agreed. That is entirely possible. She must be really good at scheming if that's the case. Who knows? She might have played dirty tricks to make Mr. Farwell call off his engagement with Ms. Pearson. After the public discovered that Roxanne had 2 mysterious children, they began to turn their backs on her. Aubrey chuckled in delight as the public showed disdain for Roxanne. Roxanne, you batch, I'm going to let you get a taste of your own medicine." Early in the morning that day, Sonia read the comments on the internet. She was furious when she found out that Lucian had sent Roxanne to the hospital and had even spent the night there taking care of her. She could still recall the incident vividly. Roxanne had just returned to the country not long ago, and Lucian had insisted on taking care of her. Sonia read through the comments furiously. Everyone had different opinions regarding the matter. Public opinion was swayed. Sonia's face darkened when she saw a comment about how well Lucian and Roxanne complemented each other. "They're a good match. Since when has she ever been worthy of my son? On what grounds? Certainly not her looks, nor her 2 illegitimate children. Speaking of which, I've yet to find out who fathered those 2 children." Just as she was about to blow up, the public's view of Roxanne took a sharp turn for the worse, and that calmed Sonia down. However, she suddenly caught sight of a comment that read, "Roxanne left the Farwell on her own accord back then. Who knows? Maybe she left because she had gotten herself pregnant and was worried that she wouldn't be able to explain herself. She's probably back to get her hands on the Farwell wealth now that her children have grown up." Sonia's face contorted in anger as she read the comment. "Now that I think about it, Archie and Benny look to be about Estella's age. But who knows? She could have lied about their age. No wonder she left so hastily back then." Sonia found the thought to be unbearable as she considered the possibility. No matter what, Roxanne is very suspicious. "I won't let her get her way." Sonia put her phone away, left the mansion, and drove straight to Roxanne's house. It was noon by the time she arrived at Roxanne's door. However, no one was home. Sonia got back into her car and checked her phone, only to find that the public was having a heated discussion about Roxanne. Rumors and speculations spread like wildfire. Some even suspected that Roxanne had known Jack since a long time ago. The Farwell were starting to get a bad rap because of this speculation. One comment read, "The fact that the Farwell were unaware of Roxanne's infidelity with Mr. Farwell is quite concerning. I wonder how they judge people. I hope the employees of Farwell Group don't act two-faced like her." Someone asked, "What is the last name of Ms. Jarvis' kids? Can someone please tell me?" Sonia almost fainted in anger as she read the comments. "I knew it. The Farwell will surely turn into a laughingstock when I let her marry into the family. Damn it. I can't believe how quickly this has happened. I need to find a way to settle this once and for all." Sonia parked her car in front of Roxanne's gates and spent a good while there before finally coming up with an idea. "The most important thing for me to do right now is to restore the Farwell reputation. The relationship my son has with Roxanne right now is the root cause of it all. So if his fiancée is someone other than Roxanne..." Sonia made up her mind and immediately drove to the Pearson residence. Even though she was dissatisfied with how Aubrey had treated Estella, she was the only one who could take Roxanne out of the picture now. At most, I'll let her be Lucian's fiancée on paper. After all, no one knows about her deeds yet. Having her around won't harm the Farwell's reputation. At the Pearson residence, Samuel had been receiving calls non-stop since morning due to all the online drama and the Farwell's pressure. They were either calling to report how terrible his subsidiaries were doing or to discuss the termination of contracts with the headquarters. Things had been tense at the Pearson residence since morning. Even though Gina was worried about her daughter, she didn't dare call to check in on her with Samuel around. That afternoon, Samuel remained holed up in his study while Gina sat alone at the kitchen table, unable to summon the appetite for lunch in the midst of such tension and uncertainty. Nobody touched the food even when it had turned cold. That was the scene that greeted Sonia when she arrived, and she couldn't help but notice that Aubrey's room was located directly opposite the mansion main entrance. Mrs. Farwell, what brings you here? Gina was instantly reminded of the previous day's ordeal when she caught sight of Sonia. A shiver ran down her spine, causing her to stand up shakily. Samuel also emerged from his study when he heard the doorbell ring. As soon as he saw Sonia at the door, Samuel ended his phone call and hurried downstairs to meet her. Mrs. Farwell, what brings you here? Aubrey has realized she is in the wrong, and we Pearsons have learned our lesson. Please don't make things any more difficult for us. Samuel felt embarrassed as he spoke. Sonia frowned as she looked around the Pearson residence. She noticed that there were only 2 simple dishes on the dining table that had not been touched. Samuel and Gina appeared exhausted and worn out despite it only having been one night since they had last met. They seemed to have aged a decade overnight, with worry and stress etched into their features. Sonia's heart ached for them, as they had been good friends for many years. Reminded of Aubrey's actions, she sighed. How could you allow Aubrey to do something like that to Essie? The Farwells have never mistreated you, have we? Samuel and Gina exchanged looks, sensing that Sonia was starting to soften. Samuel said in a resigned voice, we didn't want this to happen either. Aubrey was foolish and has learned her lesson. She said she went down the wrong path because she was desperate to marry Lucian. Gina chimed in. Aubrey has been locking herself in her room since coming home yesterday. We've had a serious talk with her about it and she's learned her lesson now. She will apologize and make things right with Lucian and Essie. Sonia's heart ached as she witnessed the sincerity and exhaustion etched on the faces of her 2 friends. She stared at them as if she was assessing how sincere their apology was. Samuel and Gina both had their heads lowered. One was red in the face with anger, and the other had red, blotchy eyes caused by crying. They do look like they have regretted on their actions. Sonia slowly retracted her gaze and sat down on the couch in the living room. Aubrey has indeed gotten carried away. Things wouldn't have turned out like this if she had listened to me back then and tried her best to get along with Lucian and Essie, as she said regretfully. Samuel and Gina immediately caught on. Mrs. Farwell, we have realized what a huge mistake we have made and have learned our lesson now. Could you try to persuade Mr. Farwell to let things slide? Sonia didn't reply to them as she sat with crossed legs on the couch like an elegant lady. Gina and her husband were at a loss for a moment. They initially thought Sonia came to defuse the tension. Seeing Sonia putting up an arrogant look left them unsure of what to do. Gina tested the waters by pleading, Mrs. Farwell, we will heed your advice and not do stupid things anymore. Please help us. As soon as she finished speaking, she noticed Sonia's gaze fall on Samuel, who stood beside her. Gina immediately caught her drift and cleared her throat to get Samuel's attention. Clearly, Sonia still thought the Pearson family was of use to her, and she wanted them to pledge their loyalty to her. Given that Gina lacked authority in the Pearson family, Sonia hinted at Samuel so he could make the first move. They might have been friends for years, but after all the things the Pearson family had done, Gina knew they were now at Sonia's mercy. Their friendship had become solely based on interests and more transactional. Of course, Samuel could read Sonia's mind too, but after much pondering, he still could not bear to give up Pearson Group. But if I were to turn her down, I might risk losing the entire Pearson Group, let alone my position of influence in the company. Samuel had no choice but to grit his teeth and agreed. In the future, neither the Pearson family nor Pearson Group will go against your wishes. That's my promise to you. Only then did Sonia nod in satisfaction and put her crossed legs down. Where is Aubrey? She looked up and glanced at the broken door of the bedroom where Aubrey was. Gina let out a nervous laugh. As she had a fight with Samuel in the morning and ran away. I can call her back immediately if you wish to see her. She was worried that her daughter might engage in dangerous behavior, but did not care to intervene because of Samuel. Now that Sonia had mentioned it, she had an excuse to bring her daughter back. There was a hint of displeasure in Sonia's eyes. How could Aubrey throw a tantrum and run away when something like this happened? I'm surprised to learn that she's this kind of person. Samuel and Gina felt something was amiss when they noticed the change in Sonia's expression. Shh, forget it. Sonia withdrew her gaze. Tell her to stop causing more trouble when she returns later. A question stirred in the hearts of Samuel and Gina. Does the fact that Sonia came to look for us mean there's hope for us to continue with the engagement? Yet, what Sonia uttered next completely shattered their fantasy. Though the engagement between the Farwells and Pearsons is off, I will not allow Roxanne to marry into our family since she has tarnished Farwell Group's reputation. Fury was written all over Sonia's face. Shall talk to Lucian on your behalf, but if Aubrey were to do anything stupid again, she'd better watch her own back. Gina and Samuel looked puzzled. Why is she doing all this if she doesn't want us to proceed with the engagement? Nonetheless, the two dared not ask further as they knew how furious Sonia was. They responded, we will keep an eye on Aubrey and make sure she doesn't do anything stupid again. Sonia glanced at them before walking out of the door. I'm glad the Farwell family has this chance to teach the Pearson family a lesson. At least they'll no longer dare to step on our toes. The flattery on Samuel's face gradually disappeared as he watched Sonia depart. I can't believe I just relinquished the authority of the Pearson family because of my useless daughter. Meanwhile, Roxanne knew nothing about the online controversy. After breakfast, she took the kids to the beach. At first, Archie and Benny were a little worried about the changes in public opinion on the internet, but they instantly forgot about it the moment they got into the car. Roxanne had not taken them on a road trip in a while, so they looked forward to it. They were especially excited that she brought Estella along. Mommy, where are we going? Estella kept calling Roxanne Mommy as if she wanted to make up for the years she missed. While observing the change of scenery outside the car, Archie and Benny could not help but ask curiously, Mommy, it seems you're driving out of town. You're not planning to sell us now that you have Essie, are you? Benny acted shocked and pleaded in a tender, baby-like voice, Mommy, please don't do this to us. We're good kids, and we'll help look after our little sister. Estella, too, nodded earnestly. If you insist, sell me along with them as well. However, not long after making that remark, she tilted her head, looking troubled. But I love Mommy very much too. Mommy, don't sell us, please. Roxanne's heart melted as she was charmed by their innocent and endearing words. When did I say I was going to sell you? I'm taking all of you to the beach because the weather is lovely. It was the same beach she had visited when she first found out she was pregnant. A few days ago, Lucian had taken her there again. That visit brought back all of Roxanne's memories of the place. When she was pregnant, she wanted to bring the little ones to the beach even though they were still in her womb. As soon as the children heard they were going to the beach, their minds instantly flooded with memories of their last vacation. Come to think of it, our last vacation was also our first family trip. The last vacation held a special place in Archie's and Benny's hearts. It became an unforgettable memory after they discovered Estella was their long-lost sister. Mommy, are you taking us to the beach we went to last time? Benny asked. Roxanne could not help but feel emotional as she recalled their last experience. After the kindergarten activity ended, they had gone on a hot spring vacation where many things happened. If it weren't for Sonia and Aubrey, Roxanne and Lucian would have been together when they were enjoying themselves at the beach. Mommy? The little ones urged impatiently, waiting for her answer. Roxanne snapped back to her senses and smiled at the children. No. This time, we're going to the beach I used to visit. The little ones' eyes lit up. Since Archie and Benny were rarely exposed to Roxanne's past while growing up, they were thrilled to learn that she was taking them to her favorite beach. Roxanne could not help but grin when she looked in the rearview mirror and saw the happiness on their faces. When she found out she was pregnant years ago, She once stood by the sea and imagined how she would watch her children play on the beach. However, she quickly dismissed that thought, as she had decided to leave the country for good. Roxanne had long given up hope of watching her children having fun by the beach. Little did she know that one day her dream would come true. Half an hour later, Roxanne's car slowly stopped in the distance from the beach. As soon as the car stopped, the children got out of the vehicle and ran toward the beach like untamed horses.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.